Well, hey there, APCE people. My name's Andy Morgan, and I'm the campus minister at Ukirk at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. I'm remorseful that I can't be with you this evening, but my new call has made it kind of difficult to travel. But I'm excited that our co-directors have allowed me to present my Ignite talk through technology, through a video. But when asked to do an Ignite talk, a presentation without being physically present, I had to really consider ways to do that. It's kind of difficult. It's more difficult than you might think. So the format that you're going to be getting in just a few seconds is a voiceover with slides every 15 seconds, some of which are animated, and the presentation is on cow tipping. That is program assessment within our communities of faith that have sacred cows in them. And I think that that's a situation that a lot of us can resonate with. So while I have you though, I want to give a shout out to a few of my friends, Mark Lampley at Sequoia Hills Presbyterian Church, Mary Boyd at Westminster Presbyterian Church in Knoxville, Nancy Meyer at University Pres in Chapel Hill, and of course Jan Edmiston, who is running for co-moderator of our denomination. She has my seal of approval. You can check out her blog. It's a Church for Starving Artists. It's really cool. And I'm just really happy to be here with you, even if it's remotely. So thank you for allowing me to be with you, and I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Most of us in the ministry that we've been called to have come across programs, traditions, or even cushion colors that seem to be unchangeable. These are known as sacred cows, that is, entities within our system that seem to be beyond revision and change without considerable pushback. That's what I mean when I say sacred cow, and what I want to talk about today is our need as church professionals to tip or challenge some of these sacred cows in order to most faithfully discern where God is leading our ministries. If we're going to tip sacred cows, we have to know where they came from, what gives them sustenance, and how to go about tipping them. So let's get to it. How did they get there? Sometimes we feel like sacred cows are older than the systems in which they dwell, but in fact, every sacred cow has a unique origin, and I encourage each of you to investigate the origins of the sacred cows in your systems. But I would venture to guess that all of them have a common denominator. Sacred cows are born when a person or group has had a profound experience or series of experiences in which they felt close to God, and they want to preserve that experience for themselves and others. Think of Peter trying to build dwelling places for Moses, Elijah, and Jesus after the Transfiguration. So Vacation Bible School, Christmas pageants, and even certain hymns can serve as intersecting points between our world and the divine. These experiences or things that have acted as points of intersection with the divine yield the desire for others to share in these holy moments, and so sacred cows are born. So as you embark on tipping these sacred cows, expect grief. Many of these sacred cows were created with the hope that others would feel the presence of God in powerful ways too. So when you go about tipping these sacred cows, let the folks who seem to push back the most know that you aren't recklessly changing things to change them, but rather adapting the means to manifest a vision for Christian education that will hopefully help folks to feel God's presence as they did, but perhaps in new ways. People feel a lot less threatened when their sacred cow story is heard and honored, and know that you aren't just replacing the sacred ends, just the means to those ends. So now that we've talked about where these sacred cows come from, we need to know what gives them sustenance, what keeps them going. And the answer might surprise you. Sacred cows are given sustenance by us. Yes, even you, even me, even that guy over there. We give sacred cows life through our program assessment. Let me explain. When we assess our programs, most of us look at what happened, our results, and from that information, we adapt our methods to get a more desirable result. This is called single loop assessment, and sacred cows love and are sustained through this process. Sacred cows love single loop assessment because often our methods usually include or are sacred cows, and single loop assessment simply tells us what we already know. That program didn't work well, but we're not able to drastically change or adapt the methods because they're protected sacred cow programs. It's frustrating, right? I feel your pain. We feed sacred cow programs when we try to change just a little bit a sacred cow, maybe change the name or time or curriculum of something that fundamentally isn't working because we think that renaming a Christmas pageant or adding a different teacher might somehow yield a different result. So we keep sacred cows alive year after year, sometimes with fresh coats of paint, and drive ourselves crazy doing it. Now, feeding these sacred cows and tipping them happens in the same place, assessment. To tip sacred cows, we and leaders within our communities must return to square one in our assessment process. Instead of simply letting your results inform your methods, consider your results and then, based on those results, revisit your underlying assumptions, your foundational beliefs about Christian education. This is called double loop assessment. Instead of looking at results and asking, how can we get more people to show up, or how can we get more lay leadership involved, or how can we do that thing better? In double loop assessment, we ask questions like, how did that program, event, or whatever inform and shape our fundamental beliefs about what Christian education is? What is Christian education? Why do we do it? These questions will allow program successes and even failures to help you discern the ways in which the Holy Spirit is leading your ministries. When you return to your underlying assumptions of Christian education, square one, you must form new goals, objectives, and methods to live out that vision, and this is where sacred cows can be toppled. Because double loop assessment encourages us to envision new possibilities that are devoid of any precedents, and yes, even sacred cows. This process lovingly topples sacred cows by providing a more spirit-led means of making the same sort of connection with God that established sacred cows to begin with. Friends, it's important that we all tactfully tip sacred cows within our community in order that we most faithfully let the Holy Spirit guide our ministries. So let's get to tipping.